Chocolate bar for the periphery. Maple glaze, healthy knees all day. Blueberry cake takes care of the pain. And the apple frittler for a healthy brain. Donuts for the win. Donuts, let's do it again. Donuts for you and me. Donuts, wild and free.
Welcome to the Tavin Dillard Podcast, y'all guys. That's me. I'm Tavin Dillard. I'm a mowing, edging, grass cutting legend. So glad you've joined me here for the podcast in season 13's episodes. 11's what they call it, because that's just how it go in order if you do numbers. Last week's was episode 10's. Don't matter, no how. I'm glad you're here. This is like a radio show. A lot of folks now's videotaping their podcast so you can look at them while they talk about things, and I did that for a while. I don't know if I remember. I think it's like season 4 or 5. I did that, and then it's just more work. And it didn't seem like people really had to watch me say that. And so there's, reasons like that and other things. It's like, well, let's just do it with the audio only, like the old radio. But I know it's very popular to videotape a podcast. But I don't know. Maybe I'll do that again at some point. But here we are. You listening. I'm talking. We hanging out. Appreciate y'all being here. What's going on? Well, Possum Keith is going on. That's Millie Rick's possum that she say ain't her pet. But, she found him a little while back, and she'll feed him, food in her house. And so he knew to stay around her house. And if she drive to town now, she like a little company. And, well, Peekaboo, who's in the passenger seat there inside Millie Rick's Buick? Oh, that's Possum Keith. Oh, does he have on a little tank top? A little USA patriotic tank top this time of years? Oh, he do. Okay, so let me get this right, Millie. You fed him, you let him ride in that Buick, you dress him, and you named him Possum Keith, but he ain't your pet? Come on, you ain't fooling me. You ain't fooling me. Going to Donut Goals, asking Cheryl Grubbs if they got any donut nubs because you want to feed Possum Keith? Come on now. That's what you do for a pet. Cheryl Grubbs knows about pets. She got that doggy Jalapeno. A lot of pets in town. I don't know if you got a pet. I ain't got a pet. But I want to make friends with crows in the trailer park. And you know what? In the show notes today, I'll put a link. My friend Mark did a book. He did a picture book where he drew people and their pets. And there's a page where he drawed me with a crow because he's going to do pets. I was like, well, I ain't got a pet, but if you want to draw me, maybe a crow would be the trick. So I put a link to that. And he came up with a coupon code that people, my pals, if they use Bank for the coupon code. It's like a coffee table book, but you ain't got to have a coffee table to get the book. You could probably have a futons or just a chair, or wherever you want to set the book. It's yours once you buy it. But Bank, that coupon code, which I'll put that in the show notes today, that'll get you 15% off your order on that book or anything that Mark's got on his site, because he's an artist, so he do art. And, I art around a little bit too. Speaking of that, I drawed Possum Keith to put him on the shirt. Dell texted me last week or so, Dell Anton, and he said, hey, when's that Possum Keith shirt coming out? And Dell was the first person I texted when it was ready and said, here's the link, buddy. But that'll be in the show notes today too, is Possum Keith. It actually says at the bottom of the shirt under Possum Keith, who's in a USA tank top, and he's holding a bottle with a bottle rocket shooting out of it in one hand and a pinwheel in the other. It says, Patriot, Pet, Possum Keith. I just called him a pet right there on the shirt. Right to Millie's face. Anyhow, that's in the show notes today too. So you see the people in their pets books that Mark Ludy drawed, and then you'll see the Possum Keith shirt. And then personal video greetings, I was doing them last week for the Father's Day. I hope y'all had a good Father's Day. And June in general. I mean, how in the world is your merry month of June going, y'all? I sure hope it's good. Mine's going great, really is. I've seen so much water, you'd wonder if I was a fish, but I ain't. I'm a full-grown man. And, softball season's in full swing. Team Burger Shed is 5-1 with a big win against Bickham's All-You-Can-Eat Catfish Buffet. It might be a little bit what you call an ugly win. You know about that? You ever heard somebody say when they talking about sports or whatnot, boy, that's an ugly win we had. We pulled out an ugly win. Well, I mean, opposite ugly is pretty, so it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty to watch. Like, nothing looked like graceful or nothing looked like easy. Looked like you laboring out there. But at the end of the day, when you look at the box score, that's a big old W for Team Burger's Shed, no matter how we put it together. It ain't your best performance, but you pulled out a win. Let's be honest, Mort Dwidell was not feeling great for that game against Bickham's, and you know what happened to me with that overripe peach Imogene Watkins gave me. She good at handing out that overripe fruit. But that's all behind us now, and I'm sure glad about that. You got big summer plans, though? Because it's summertime. We in the middle of softball season. People do stuff. You and your family going to the beach or Gatlinburg, Branson, swim park. We love going to Danny's Water Park growing up. And it's still going. I may need to head over there this summer. Danny's Water Park's got a lazy river and great cheese dip. They don't want you combining both of them together. And they got lifeguards on duty instead of keeping an eye on that. But folks do take some cheese dip on them inner tubes. It can be real enjoyable, but that cheese will make a mess. You'll get cheese on your stomach, on your elbow, on your shoulder, in the water, on the inner tubes. They got to scrub it off. So you got to be careful about that. It's almost like a physical challenge. Can you keep it steady on a lazy river and enjoy that delightful snack? Truth be told, I think it's more enjoyable to wait till after. One thing at a time when it comes to the water park. That way the fun lasts longer. You get off the lazy river, you looking forward to that cheese dip. Like that way. But snacking is something I'm good at. You know I'm a no-pro fisherman, and I'll bring the snacks out to the water and see if the fish are nibbling, and if they ain't, I sure am. You know, like that way. I sold a lot of bacon bags, you know, for the Father's Day. We was promoting a lot of bacon bags. I don't actually know how many got sold. I ain't seen them numbers. Bacon Boise ships those bacon bags out, but that's a good snack for me at the water. That's a real good snack. I've been in local waters, like I said, but it ain't all been like lakes. City Poo. There's a little hiccup this week because they changed out the diving board. They think, well, we can still have regular swim classes, water aerobics classes without the diving board. And all that's true, y'all guys, but do you know what's hard to do without a diving board? Well, you can do it, but the diving board takes it to another level is what it do. It take it to another level, make it a little better, a little sweeter, a little more memorable. It's the cannonball. You know about that. I know you know about that. Yes, I can stand on the edge of the deep end and cannonball from the side of the pool. What are the pros and cons? Well, let's take a little look or a little listen, because you know this is like a radio show. The pros that I can tell of jumping into the deep end from the side of the pool is the obvious one. You don't need no diving board. Okay? Take that one. You also ain't got to wait in a line on the side of the pool like you got to wait in a line at the diving board. It's a very popular thing at the city pool, the diving board. People line up for it. It's like when you open a new ice cream store or something like that. People will wait in line because what's at the front of that line, they think, boy, that's worth waiting for. That's going to be a big reward for me if I stay in this line and show a little patience kindly thing. And there ain't no lines on the side of the pool. You could just jump right in. So you got that. Plus, Lise, you can get a good gauge on your personal vertical leap with no assistance if that's something you like to track. Me? I just try to stay in shape and do my best. I ain't trying to keep no hard data on my own vertical leap. Now, let's move to the cons of jumping from the side of the pool with no diving board. Well, you might slip. Pools are full of water. Y'all know that. And the water gets splashed out all day long at the city pool because of all the activity there. Trying to jump from the side may result in a slip and then you hitting your noggin or landing on your back or elbowing you in a mess. I mean a real mess, buddy. It's hard to be in pain. It's even hard to be wet and in pain. You know, I think that's enough of the cons. Anyhow, let's go to the perks of the diving board. It's got a texture on it so you ain't slipping. You ain't losing your footing. Like they know you're going to be on it barefoot and wet, so the diving board is ready for that. That's how it's made. It's equipped for that. So that's a good thing. And then there's some bounce in the diving board. It helps you learn timing, how to work with that give in the board to launch yourself at the right time, at the right trajectory, high in the air, but also out front ways into the deep end. Meanwhile, you curling into a cannonball and hitting the water with some serious force and breaking world records all day. But when they're doing maintenance down at the city pool and there ain't no diving board because they removed it to put in a new one, none of that is happening. And I don't want to go to the city pool just to swim. I'll just say it like that. I don't want to go to the city pool just to swim. Coach Hicks had the whole deep end shut down at the city pool because he wanted to give the workers space to work without worrying about hitting a swimmer with some tool that they's using or stray hardware while they doing that new install. Fine. Well, you got no deep end. Not only do you have no place to practice cannonballs, there ain't no place to even dive into the pool. You got to just walk in gently and kind of drop down into the water. There ain't no diving in the shallow end, so it became very clear to me pretty quick that it's going to be a pointless day at the city pool, so I just took off from there. I ain't about to get dropped into water like a ice cube in a sweet tea. Boy, I got a cannonball in from up top, but I couldn't that day. So there are options. Bottom line is, I'm going to have to work for this if it's going to happen. If I'm going to do any cannonball practicing with the diving board shut down at the city pool, I'm going to have to figure some stuff out, and I'm going to have to figure it out around other stuff like mowing lawns and softball. As I started looking at my schedule, the best shot I had was out near Chet Dilroy's property where they got a creek that divides he and Rusty Tidwell's land. They property backs up to each other with that creek kind of in betweens. I needed to go out there to haul off some junk for Chet. He don't need a lawn guy, but he'll hire me to haul junk, so I thought maybe I could cannonball while I was at it. You know, that Ford Ranger come in handy. It's hard to haul junk on the bike. I'll tell you that. Possible, but it's hard. Well, I get out there and the creek is running, but it's a little low, and that's when I realized I got to shake off this cannonball fever, y'all guys. Get on with my day. You know, it's just a done deal. Put a fork in it. I ain't going to be able to do it. Just ain't going to make sense to force a cannonball session when I got so much to do, and I can't ignore none of the other stuff I got to do. You ever been there? There's something you really want to do, but you got to do other things, and you know you got to do other things, and there ain't no way. It's like me and that black nanner at Imogene Watkins' house. The only way out of her house that day was through that black nanner. Sometimes you just got to get the work done before you can get to the other stuff you want to do. So that's what I call, well, that's what everybody call, I think, being an adult. But little kids got to do it too. Finish your schoolwork before you go out and play, that kind of thing. I can wait till a better time to cannonball is all I'm saying. When? I do not know, but my head is on a cannonball swivel, as they say, steady looking for an opportunity to do that. Now, some of the junk I hauled from Chet Dilroy's wasn't just standard run-of-the-mill junk, you might say. I mean, what is really? One man's junk's another man's treasure, as they say. All that to say is that I ran some of that junk to the nursing home. Cricket had a big art and craft idea. She likes to think outside the box. That just means if folks know there's a way to do something and they always do it that way, this person comes along and says, well, how about we try it this way? And it's different. So some of the junk I took from Chet's was 2 broken wheelbarrows. Handle was broke on one, wheel was broke on another. It's that kind of thing where you could fix it if you want to, but Chet didn't want to, and it ended up being another example of some community recycling. What did Cricket want to do with this junk, you might be asking? Well, she heard that I was hauling a couple wheelbarrows, and she asked me to drop them by the nursing home. She said she wanted to have the residents spray paint them things and then turn them into planters. You know about that? Like you, a planter is something you plant things in. And I know you're thinking, well, that's also called the ground. Yeah, but people do these boxes or wheelbarrows or something where you can put the dirt and the soil in, fertilizer and that kind of thing, and you can plant them out of there too. So I dropped them off. 2 old wheelbarrows. They're metal in case you was thinking that's plastic, because they got them options these days too. And Cricket had got like 4 or 5 cans of spray paint. I was thinking it wouldn't take that many, but you want to have plenty instead of not enough if you're doing the spray paint. And you hate running out on a paint project halfway through it. She had some yellow paint and also some light blue paint. I was wondering how the residents was going to be involved. Like, are you really going to hand Doreen Fundle or Dewey Morton a can of spray paint, Cricket? I mean, is that what's happening? Surely that ain't what's happening. You know, that's what I think in my head. Didn't say that loud. But Dewey Morton, he is sore mischievous. I mean, sore mischievous. I can only imagine the hijinks that might ensue if Dewey Morton got a hold of a can of spray paint. I can only imagine. Well, y'all, I don't have to imagine now, because Dewey Morton got a hold of a can of spray paint. Cricket didn't give it to him, but I'll show you just how mischievous Dewey Morton is. He had Doreen Fundle run interference. He had Doreen lay on her back on her nursing home room floor with her goldfish bowl full of water with her goldfish Captain Thunder boots sitting on her stomach. So you can imagine that in your mind's eye. Doreen's got on little summer pants and her little summer blouse and her little fancy nurse-like shoes, you know, the orthopedic shoes. And she ain't a nurse, but I mean, she just like to be comfortable, I guess. You know, them nurses on their feet all day. Don't matter no how. She laying on her back with that little goldfish bowl with the goldfish water with the goldfish in it on her tummy, you know, so in the middle of her floor in the nursing room. And she was yelling, "Help me, help me." Well, a couple nurses responded to Doreen when they hear her claim that Captain Thunderboots was jumping in his bowl and swimming so fast that he inched it to the edge of the dresser where his bowl sits, and she said she had to dive and catch the goldfish bowl on account of the fact that she didn't want the bowl to break and the water to go everywhere and shards of glass all over the place, plus Captain Thunderboots sliding under her bed, maybe out in the hallway, even out in the front door of the nursing home. This is what she's explaining to them nurses. Like, this is how she ended up on her back with a goldfish bowl on her tummy. Fibs. Fibs, I tell you. Well, there was no way that either of them nurses believed Doreen for a minute. It smelled like a setup, but they wasn't exactly sure what was getting set up. You know, they don't know. You can't know everything at all times, all the time kind of thing. Meanwhile, Dewey Morton has snatched a yellow spray paint can out of the spray paint box that Cricket set by the front door. She was outside with me when I was dropping off them wheelbarrows. It's the perfect plan or the perfect storm, however you want to say it. All I know is that Dewey Morton sneaks into the bushes in front of the nursing home just to the left of the front door, and he waits for his opportunity. Now, Cricket was planning to have these painted in the grass over next to the parking lot, basically to the right of the front door over that way. I followed Cricket into the nursing home where she was going to gather a few residents, or like a crew of them, you know, people that lived there who wanted to be part of this craft, spray painting, you know, them wheelbarrows, but also like putting dirt in them and planting flowers in them and that kind of thing. Well, it didn't take long once everybody's gathered in the mess hall to see who was missing, and once we saw there was no Dewey Morton, we knew something was up. It ain't like Dewey to miss a craft with spray paint, you know, that screams Dewey Morton, you know. So that's when Cricket ran straight to the front door, out to the parking lot. Dewey Morton was in the process of spray painting his name on the parking lot in a brand new parking space. A new parking space, you might be asking? Let me put it to you like this. Cricket made it to the parking lot at the end of Dewey's mischievosity. He basically did what he planned to do. Now, this new parking lot space I mentioned was painted by Dewey. He had a shaky little wavy line on one side and another about 6 feet wide. Like it wasn't wide enough for a real normal sized car, and Dewey painted his name at the bottom of the two lines, Dewey's Spot. That's what he painted, called it Dewey's Spot, like that away. And by now, Cricket has pulled the spray paint can from Dewey's hand, and most of us was out in the parking lot by now too. That's when I noticed something at the entrance to the nursing home parking lot. I say it's the entrance, but it's also the exit. It's the same driveway. Well, if you're standing on the street looking at the driveway entrance, you can read another message in yellow spray paint. It reads, "Wrong way." Dewey spray painted "wrong way" on the ground. Now that's mischievous. Now you telling people that are trying to come into the nursing home, there ain't no way to get into the nursing home. So mischievous. How you going to tell folks the only way to get into the parking lot is the wrong way? Come on, Dewey. So now the nursing home has got to get somebody out to sandblast Dewey's shenanigans, and he lost any spray paint privileges he might have had. I ain't so sure he would have got the spray paint can anyway, but he sorely lost them for sure now. What he got to do later, once the wheelbarrows dried, was put the dirt inside them. Doreen got in trouble too. They let her plant some flowers once the dirt was in them. They told her she can't fake an accident like that. What if nobody heard her and she had to lay there with that goldfish bowl and Captain Thunderboots on her stomach for a long, long time? Could have jeopardized her life and Captain Thunderboots. Who knows? The rest of the junk I just took back to the flea market. Not to be mean and dump it on them, but because Jerry Don and Sybil Farnhart, they insisted I bring that stuff by. Like whatever's left from Chet's junk pile, just take it by us. We'll see it. So they got a system there. So they'll go through it and they'll see what they can do with it. If they can't, they got ways to get rid of stuff. It's what they do. They flea market pros after all. The wheelbarrow planters turned out real nice. Good on you, Cricket, for even thinking of that. Then it was on to the softball fields for me. Tame Burger Shed played Guthrie's Hunting Supply. Everybody's feeling pretty good this week. Way better than last week. For sure. Mary Beth Tucker, she's late. she went to pick up new snow cone flavors. Not like flavors we ain't never had before. You know, not like a weird flavor you don't even know what it tastes like. You know, don't say something like Island Surprise. Well, that don't tell me nothing, you know, like that. Or Summer Getaway, or that kind of thing. Or Muddy Pond, or I don't know. You know, like it's not something that it sounds like it's supposed to be fancy, but it don't give you no idea what the flavor gonna be. You know, she's just getting regular flavors is what I'm saying. Just flavors that are sold out. Grape, cherry, lime. Them three apparently the best sellers. And you can get half and half if you want. If you want just half of it like a grape and half of it a cherry, you could do that. I ain't even got to tell you what happens if you win. Y'all know about that. With Mary Beth being late, though, that means Cheryl Grubbs is the one running the concession stand, and she brought the old donut holes, and that has been working out. That's been working out real good. A few fellas from Guthrie's was in line before our game for a bag of donut holes. I don't blame them. I mean, that's haunch strength. That's clear mind. That's focus. That's the fountain of youth for the donuts. Them donut holes, you can just pop one at a time. Your skin's softer. You reclaiming your youth. You know, one little donut hole at a time. That's what you're doing. And they ain't there at the softball fields to get tossed to Possum Keef or some little animal. They there to sell to people that want to buy them. And Guthrie's Hunting Supply, them boys, they's in line to buy them. So that's how it goes. Brody Childers showed up right when the game was starting, and he asked Russell if he could pitch. And that ain't what Brody usually does. Ask to pitch or be there that close to when the game starts. He's usually tardy, and he don't pitch. Russell looked at him like he was crazy, standing on a mound next to Russell, who's about to throw out the first pitch of the game, or underhand the first pitch. You know how to go in softball. Get in the outfield, Brody. We can talk positions in between innings. You know, that's what Russell's saying. It's almost like, hey, if you really want to talk about this, you had all week to bring this up or even get to the field early. But we just about to start the game. You know, get where you got to go. But I'm curious, like a cat. I'm wondering what was going on, what got into Brody to make him act that way. He ain't never asked to pitch before, best I can remember. Well, it didn't take long to find out. I guess a little bit, because Russell gave up 3 runs to Guthrie's in the first inning. Maybe Brody got in his head. I don't know, and maybe Russell was a little flustered, but we was in a hole pretty quick. Turns out Brody heard that Russell's wife wanted to learn how to make 3-bean salad, and Brandy Lynn got a little worked up, which got Brody all on edge, where he feels like he has to take some action. And long story longer, the action he thought he should take was standing on the mound asking to take Russell's position on the field. Like, if your wife wants to come after my wife's 3-bean salad title, I'm coming after your starting pitching position, kind of thing. Well, they talked it out. I told Brody anybody can learn to make a recipe. Brandy Lynn didn't invent the 3-bean salad. Turns out Brody don't really want to pitch. He just wanted to let his wife know that he tried to do something about it. You know how it gets. So Cricket seen Brandy Lynn at the fields and had the thought that they should go talk to Russell's wife. Well, Russell's wife had no idea the trouble she was causing Brandy Lynn. No clue at all that Brandy Lynn even cared about this. And truth be told, Brandy Lynn shouldn't. She make a beautiful 3-bean salad. And Brandy Lynn, she realized pretty quick she overreacted. And that's a good thing to come to, good conclusion to come to on your own. She even gave Russell's wife some tips. She thought that she'd try baked beans in her 3-bean salad, and Brandy Lynn thankfully talked her out of that. Meanwhile, back at the field, J.T. Whitlow, he lived in Chancellor Park. That's the trailer park I live in. He a good buddy of mine. He hit 3 home runs, not in one inning. And of course, you can't do it in one at bat. You got to take time. But they's all solo shots. Rusty Tidwell got stranded twice at second base. Boy, that kind of frustrated all of us. I hit a nubber off my knuckles, dove head first into the first base bag. I was called out. I don't know. It was a cloud of infield gravel and dust. I know it was close, though. And we ain't got replay. We ain't got replay in town. You can't replay what happened. We ain't got nothing. You just got to go with the ump's call like that way. We physically felt better this week. But in between our ears, there's some distractions, y'all guys. That Brody thing didn't help for sure. Now, we don't want to make excuses, but there was some extra noise going on. That's all I'm saying. And at the end of the night, Guthrie's Hunting Supply was getting free snow cones, if that tells you anything. And I know it do. They scored 13 runs. We ended up with 5. Now, you think if we had a few guys on base every time JT Whitlow was hitting a dinger tonight, we'd be up there toward the 13-run count too, but we wasn't. We better than that, but we wasn't tonight. We lost, and now Team Burger Shed is 5 wins to 2 losses on the season, heading into next week's game against the auto parts store. Gonna have to reset our focus, y'all. It helps that Cricket had Brandy Lynn sort things out with Russell's wife. Cricket had some great ideas this week. No surprise there. We got to shake off this loss, and we got to move on to the next. We got to move on to the next. That's how it is, y'all, guys. And I want y'all to check them show notes today. Remember, there's a pet book if you want to see that. The Ort, you know, it ain't a lot of words. It's mostly pictures. And I'm in there with a crow. Check the Possum Keith t-shirt. If you need personal greetings for birthdays coming up, I can do that. And then you can always text me, 501-322-6249 and tabandillard@gmail.com. I told you Dell texted me this week about the Possum Keep shirt. Well, Jennifer, she texted me. She was telling me, hey, you know how you got tore up over that peach? One time I was in France, and they probably ain't known for their peanut butter. She said that French peanut butter tore her up, and boy, it's hard enough, to be sick near at home. You sick at home. But I was sick at the softball fields. Well, Jennifer was tore up over French peanut butter in another country. Boy, that's rough. And she ain't gone back. She ain't circled back to no peanut butters since that happened, she said. And she's asking if I was going. Bottom line was, she's like, "Hey, are you going to give peaches a break? Or are you going back?" I'm heading back. I'm diving headfirst back into the world of the peach. That's 100%. So that's how that go. I like them too much. Boy, big old ripe, juicy peach. I'm gonna just mark it up because I had plenty of peaches in my life. That was the first one to do that to me. So I gotta stick with them. All right, thank y'all. Thanks, Dale. Thanks, Jennifer, for texting me this week. I sure appreciate y'all joining me today on the Tab and Dillard podcast. Check them show notes for all that's going on. I told you that. There's great ways to keep in touch. I'm doing commercials for businesses too. tabandillard@gmail.com is the easiest way to holler at me about that if your business needs a commercial. And hey, if you didn't lose a yellow can of spray paint when Dewey Morton decided to make his own parking space, even though he ain't even got a car in the nursing home parking lot this week, you having a pretty good week. Me, I'm Tab and Dillard. This is a Tab and Dillard podcast. Till next time, y'all guys. We'll see you later.